Breaking news, big fantasy football news. The rich get richer. The Baltimore Ravens acquire Diontae Johnson for a swap of late-round picks. And we welcome you to a bonus edition of Fantasy Football today. And it's Dave and Jamie here. I'm Adam. All right, Dave, go.
Well, which breaking news? Just Diontae Johnson? We're not going to talk about anything else that's happened in the last literally 45 minutes. It's been a wild midday in the National Football League.
I just had to rewrite 5,000 words.
Oh, yeah. Right. Of course you did.
So where do you want to start? I didn't know if we were doing – I thought this was just a Diontae Johnson one.
You got Diontae Johnson. You got Joe Flacco. You got Stefon Diggs. I mean –
no, this is a Diontae –
Wake up, man. Host the show.
This is a Diontae Johnson thing. We already talked about all that. We knew Stefon Diggs was going to be out for the season, basically.
We did. We didn't say that he was going to be out for the season.
We suspected.
Yeah, and honestly, like that's the least impactful. I mean, obviously, if you have Stefon Diggs, you're without him now, and
because
you've got to go
playing
get
your
the
stupid Pittman soundtrack over and over and over again.
All right, yeah. So Anthony Richardson got benched, but this title of the show is the Diontae Johnson news.
Oh,
fine. So let's put a cheery spin on it now and talk about just Diontae Johnson and how good it's going to be.
The bigger news is the Colts.
Honestly, it is. But we have to say
it is not the biggest news because we know what the Colts look like with Joe Flacco. We know go pick up the Josh Downs. We know get Michael in your lineup. We don't know what this means for the Ravens and the Panthers. That's why I want a fresh new situation. Buddy,
can I start making my list on who this is good for on the Baltimore Ravens?
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. I think I'm done.
I think it's actually good for Mark Andrews too, because now you'll see them in a little bit more 11 personnel as opposed to 12 personnel, so likely less on the field.
Yeah, assuming that they use Andrews in that role and not likely, and it might be
they'll use Andrews in that
scheme thing and who they're playing, but for the most part, I think I agree. But
likely is absolutely destroyed by this.
Likely,
not
like we were using likely anyway. So here's the thing:
he's still rostered.
Why did they get Diontae Johnson?
Because they can.
Right. I think that's really as simple as that. I think Rashad Bateman made too many huge mistakes last week. Adam, you talked about the drop he had. He had 2 bad plays through the air, and then Nelson Aguilar. Do they really want to count on him if they want to move past Bateman? This is a very good and another very versatile receiver who they know well because they've schemed against Diontae Johnson when he was with the Steelers. And the price tag is minuscule. It is insane what they gave up to get Diontae Johnson. So it's an easy upgrade for their offense. I don't think they're going to force feed anything to Diontae Johnson. I don't think they're going to make it where he gets 8 targets a week like he was getting with Andy Dalton, anything close to that. So I think this crushes Diontae Johnson. I don't even know if I want to start him as even a number 3 receiver. I don't know if you can. But the question is, does he take Bateman's reps, or is it just going to be a hodgepodge between all the receivers behind Zay Flowers? And then what does this do to Zay Flowers? I kind of think it makes him a little bit more volatile, but I still think he's going to get his targets. And this is another red zone option.
This hurts Zay Flowers
for the Ravens.
There's no way that this doesn't hurt Zay Flowers because this is a much more complete route runner, better receiver than Rashad Bateman. He's going to command more targets than Rashad Bateman. He is going to run a lot of similar routes that Zay Flowers runs. And so this is something that, Flowers had essentially put himself in must-start territory with the way that he's performed this year. And at least for the short term, you should start him. But I think down the road, we could see this become a problem for him where he goes to becoming more of a number 3 receiver. Bateman look, he'll have some shot play still. It's not like he was dominating targets. 4 targets here, 5 targets there. He had the 1 8-target game. This puts the cap on his ceiling because, again, I just don't think he's going to all of a sudden take a step forward. So you wonder when these conversations started, with Carolina, because we know Carolina has been shopping him around the league. And I wonder if it goes back to last week when Flowers had the injury. Did they start the ball rolling then, maybe as just insurance, and then realizing, like Dave said, where Bateman had the bad drop, blaming the sun.
Right.
And not wanting to have to, rely on some of these other guys there. But this just makes them that much more formidable as an offense. And it's hard to defend them already. It's going to be even worse, So I don't think Diontae Johnson's completely useless now. But if he's just stepping into the target share for Bateman, then it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a problem. Now, they are 24th in pass attempts per game. They are third lowest in pass rate percentage of times they throw the ball. Lamar Jackson does have 3 games with 38 or more pass attempts. He has a game with 34 pass attempts. He also has 4 games with 26 or fewer pass attempts, including a 15 pass attempt game, an 18 pass attempt game. But those 2 games were weird. Weeks 3 and 4, that's when everybody was freaking out about Zay Flowers, and we said go buy low on him. I don't think they're going to be a 18 pass attempt. I mean, no team is an 18 pass attempt game, but 25 to 30, I think, it's realistic a lot of weeks. And
they're not going to stop people. And so it's a matter of, can they outscore you, which I love, and how will they try to outscore you? Do they try to outscore you with just Derrick Henry? Well, that's happened a couple times this season. Or will they going to outscore you just as a complete offense? So maybe the pass attempts do start to rise a little bit.
Maybe I have to ask some questions here. Diontae Johnson or Zay Flowers rest of season?
Zay Flowers.
Diontae Johnson or Xavier Legette at rest of season?
Still Diontae Johnson, especially if Bryce Young starts more games.
Yeah, it's Diontae, but it's not by a ton.
Josh Downs or Zay Flowers?
Downs.
I'll take Flowers. I think
Michael Pittman or Zay Flowers?
Who was outscoring who when Flacco was under center? Because I'm looking at Downs right now. Downs was 15.5.
Downs was at least 15 PPR points, but Zay Flowers has more upside, and he's got like 18.
I don't know if he has more upside now.
I think he does. I think it's crazy to think that Diontae Johnson's going to ruin Zay Flowers.
I don't.
It's not that Diontae Johnson's going to ruin Zay Flowers. It's that Joe Flacco's going to lift up Josh Downs that much.
There's some of that. That's fair.
It's also it's very hard, almost impossible to be a top 10 PPR wide receiver on a team that's bottom 5 in pass attempts. The Ravens, I don't think, are bottom 5 in pass attempts. I just said they're 24th in pass attempts per game, and they haven't had their bye.
Lamar's averaging 29.5 pass attempts per game.
So they're probably not.
Flacco's going to be around 40.
They're not bottom 5 in pass attempts, but they're going to be close to that. And look, DJ Moore was, I think the Bears were 6th fewest pass attempts last year. DJ Moore was obviously amazing. If I have hope
DJ Moore had no competition.
I know, but if I have hope for Flowers, I look at a team that had the fewest pass attempts in the NFL last year. You know who that was? 49ers. They gave us 2 must-start wide receivers, and they gave us George Kittle. It was actually not really as good as his final numbers, if you ask me, because he kind of benefited from the games where Debo missed or Ayuk missed, something like that. But and they threw to McCaffrey all the time. You're not going to get that from the
You're also going to get Lamar Jackson running.
You're going to get Lamar Jackson running. You're going to get Derrick Henry obviously scoring. Not as he's a wash with McCaffrey, I guess, basically. But but what you need there is hyper efficiency. Ayuk and Debo, they were just stupid efficient last year. I don't know if Flowers is that kind of guy. I don't know. I don't know this plays out. Now, the other factor here that I think we should bring up, it hasn't worked out so great in the early going for Devontae Adams or for Amari Cooper. In one game for DeAndre Hopkins, he barely played. So there might be a little bit of a grace period. It is Denver this week, for what that's worth, for Zay Flowers. But maybe the midseason trade, maybe it won't be as good. Guy just jumping in midseason, maybe it's not going to have as much.
Well, I mean, to your point, Garrett Wilson's been awesome with Devontae Adams. The 2 other Bills guys have been awesome with Amari Cooper. And hopefully Zay Flowers continues to play at this level. Look, these receivers have the rapport already established with their quarterbacks. I know you could say Adams, okay, walking in, he should know what Aaron Rodgers wants to do. But he's still stepping into a year, 2 years removed from being with the quarterback and in a new offense on a new team. Plus, in the case of Adams, a year older. Diontae Johnson, look, this is now 2 offenses he has to learn in the same year. This is now 3 quarterbacks he's had to play with in the same year.
Yeah.
This is a lot of, moving parts for him. But he's one of the more polished route runners in the league. He's going to have an opportunity to get a lot of single coverage because there's no one worried about him with everybody else on the field. And so this should be a lot of easy wins for Lamar Jackson throwing to Diontae Johnson. The hope would be is that it opens up things for Zay Flowers as well. So it's just a matter of, if they stay 24th in pass attempts, if Lamar Jackson's around 29 per game, if Derrick Henry has some games where he's still scoring touchdowns but struggling and not, getting 150 yards on the ground, which may be rare, but then we're looking at, I think both these guys should be able to have some productive games. Or all 3 of these guys, when you factor in Mark Andrews, probably not in the same game. Like we talk about a lot of these teams, 2 of the 3 may eat, and 1 gets left out. But this is not the best situation across the board for these receivers. You would have liked to see Diontae Johnson go to a place where he could be in competition to be the one. He's not here. You'd like to see Zay Flowers not have competition for anybody that's going to take some stuff away from him. That's not the case now. And so it just sort of takes away from I think, all these parts.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's replacing Rashad Bateman. Bateman goes to like their number 3 receiver because they kind of play the same role as it is. You know, Diontae this year had played more on the outside than in the slot, and Bateman's been an outside receiver. So I wonder if he's just there to help win on the outside. That's an upgrade over Bateman. There's no question about it. But how many games does he get 7 or 8 targets per? And we've already seen Zay Flowers get 9 to double digits. Like I said, 3 of the last 4 in the game he didn't, he got hurt in. Yeah. I listen, this is going to make me, just hearing what you guys are saying is going to make me try and pry Zay Flowers from other fantasy managers and see if I can get him at a discount. Because I don't think his role is changing. I think it's Diontae Johnson who's, like you said, Jamie, got to learn a new offense and new quarterback and all that other stuff. And he's got to know the rules for when Lamar decides to start scrambling. Is he going to be great? He's not going to be anything close to what he was in Carolina.
Okay, so do you think Zay Flowers will be better than T. Higgins rest of season?
No, he wasn't going to be better if he's by himself.
Oh, all right. I mean, he's been pretty damn.
Yeah, Higgins was ahead of Zay on the trade chart to begin with.
Okay, do you think he'll be better than Marvin Harrison Jr. rest of season?
No.
I think he might.
Zay Flowers will be
Not
better?
the version we saw Sunday.
Do you think?
Yeah, how often are we going to see that version? I hope we do, for crying out loud, but a lot of deep catches for Marvin still.
How about Amari Cooper or Zay Flowers?
Oh, Flowers.
Agreed.
All right. How about, well, I'll give one more. How about Devontae Adams?
Flowers.
I might go Devontae.
All right. Zach has a question. Would you trade Diontae Johnson to get Tank Dell?
I think you can do better.
Yes.
Diontae Johnson or George Pickens rest of season?
Oh my gosh, Pickens.
Pickens over Flowers rest of season.
Yeah.
Pickens over Flowers rest of season. McLaurin over Flowers rest of season.
Picking Flowers. Love it. All right. That's it for today's show. We'll see how this plays out, and quite a test with the Denver Broncos defense coming up. And yeah, for more analysis, head on over to the website, cbssports.com/fantasy. For Dave and Jamie, I'm Adam. This, by the way, is Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. We'll talk to you next time on FFT.